Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, the Dark Knight Rises Bane action figure. This is the Build-A-Figure from the Dark Knight Trilogy wave. Collect to build these 4 figures, and you get Bane from the Dark Knight Rises. This is the absolute first time anyone has given us Bane from the Dark Knight Rises in 7-inch scale, so I'm really excited for that. All my Bane figures have been in the 6-inch scale and are puny next to 7-inch figures. Here's the front of the packaging. Batman, Joker, Two-Face, and Scarecrow, and then Bane. Rumor is, there are some upcoming gold label figures. Bank Robber Joker, Batman with sonar eyes, and then Bane with coat on. So if you want the jacket version of Bane, which I certainly do, he is coming. And here's the back side of the packaging. Each one shows Bane, the Build-A-Figure piece, instructions, and the rest of the wave. So with no further ado, let's open them up. And I did get 2 full sets of these Dark Knight figures from the McFarlane toy store. They put them up the other day. They put them up already in stock. I ordered it and they shipped the same day. That is awesome. I got 1 set to open and enjoy, and 1 set to keep unopened in my complete Batman-related unopened action figure collection. Alright, now that I got these 4 figures out of the package, here they are, with their Bane Build-A-Figure pieces. Batman comes with Bane's legs, Joker, Bane's hands and head, Two-Face, his torso, and Scarecrow, Bane's arms. Let's go ahead and get Bane assembled. So let's start off with Batman. He's the first of the 4 figures. He comes with Bane's legs. Then the second figure. This is the Joker. He has Bane's head and hands. Can't really start assembling Bane yet with just the legs and the hands. Next, we have Two-Face. He's the third figure. He comes with Bane's torso. Here's Bane's torso with the legs attached, the legs that came with Batman. You get them in there, as long as they get all the way attached, they don't come off easy. We're not having a repeat from the last Build-A-Figure Bane. And then, attaching the head that came with Joker. And finally, here's Scarecrow. He's the 4th figure. He comes with Bane's arms. And now that we attached Scarecrow's arms, here's Bane fully assembled. He looks great, tall, massive, stern, intimidating. Now before we go any further with this review, I want to inform you guys all about a big flaw with this figure, and it seems like every single Bane figure is affected from what I've read online. Now when I was swapping out his hands, it was super hard to put his right hand on top of there, and for the life of me just couldn't figure out why. And as usual, I just boiled up some water, threw the hand in there, made it soft, and popped it on there, no problem. But then when I tried to take it off, it was really, really difficult, so I had to heat it up again. I thought to myself, something isn't right here. Of course, I was very foolish. Now, the hand, I was able to get it on and off, but I had to heat it up every time. Now, I couldn't even rotate the hand at all. Having a lot of problems there. It would rotate at the top, but it wouldn't rotate on the inside. It was like it was stuck, so I just kept sort of pushing and pushing, and like I said, I should have known better. I do know better. I didn't use any heat. I tried to free up normally, and guess what? It broke. So Bane's right arm had broken. Now this is the end result here. We've got part of the peg broken off inside. Of course, here's the outside part of the peg. Now, the main issue is this Bane was assembled wrong. This particular peg was put in backwards, and from what I've read online, every single Bane figure is done the same way. You can kind of tell by looking at the other hand, and then this peg here. Notice the tip sort of peg part is a little bit different. This part is thicker, and this should be inside, preventing the peg from coming out of his arm. And this should be what's on the outside, so you can swap out the hand with no problem. The piece that looked like this was on the inside of Bane's arm. So unfortunately, it totally broke off inside of here, kind of leaving me with a useless Bane. But I ordered 2 sets of these figures, so I went ahead and opened my other Scarecrow, popped on the arm, it had the exact same problem. So I took off his hand, put this thing in hot water, pulled the entire peg out, flipped it around, put it in there, so now it has the same sort of piece sticking up in the outside. Yes, I lost some paint along the way, but a lot better than a broken Bane figure. So you guys see what I'm talking about? There's a difference here. And come on, camera, look at it. The pegs are different. This piece needs to go inside of his arm, and this needs to go outside for the hands to swap. If I'm not mistaken, every single Bane figure out there was assembled wrong. It'll make it really hard to swap the hands, really easy to break the peg. Just dip in some hot water, pop the peg out, flip it around, and your Bane should be just fine. I guess I spoke too soon when I said this build of Bane didn't have problems with the last one. Well, he doesn't have problems like the last one, but he has problems nonetheless. Now, I want to give a shout out to McFarlane Toys. I said earlier they forgot that comic they sent me. I emailed them. They sent one out right away, no problem. I also emailed them about my Scarecrow. I thought maybe they could send me an extra Bane arm, but they sent me a whole other Scarecrow figure for free. So, I want to give a big shout out to McFarlane Toys. They make some of the best figures out there. They keep them affordable. Quality control is not usually too much of a problem, but we have some issues like this from time to time. Their website, their send out free figures from time to time, stuff you don't ask for, and just excellent customer service. I know Batman and Joker are sold out, so maybe if I had a problem with them, they wouldn't be able to help me out. But they sent me a Scarecrow figure free of charge, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, McFarlane Toys, for rectifying this issue here. I really hope everyone else is able to fix this before they assemble Bane. This is a big deal. It will really affect your Bane figure. Before you put them together, drop that arm in hot water, swap out the peg, and everything should be good to go at that point. I mean, overall, it is a decent Bane figure. My problem is really just the paint. The skin tone, it just doesn't look very realistic. Nice little wash, a little bit of detail there, some shading. The mask totally needs repainted. I mean, the metal stuff on the front, the detail is awful on that. His eyes look pretty good. Just a skin tone could be a little better. And even like the vest, it just could look a lot better. It just looks very plasticky and toyetic. The sculpt is there, like a lot of McFarlane toys. And this is still going to be my favorite Bane figure, as he's 7 inches. He's massive, he's intimidating, just like he should be. All these puny 6-inch Bane figures, they look so dumb next to larger Batman figures to fight them. So, just an FYI, good figure, but needs a little bit of TLC to really bring him out. I will say, on a side note, I believe Bane only had this look in 2 different parts of the movie. First of all, that part where they caught Commissioner Gordon, and then he shot his henchman and threw him into the water to chase after him. And also, of course, when he broke the Batman. The majority of the film, he's wearing his coat, and even the end fight of the film with the police and Bane's mercenaries, he had the vest on like this, but he had a black sweatshirt on underneath. Personally, I'm really looking forward to the coat version, so let's take a look at him. Starting with his head here. The face looks good. Maybe it's a little bit soft. I don't know what it is, the skin tone of the mask could definitely use extra paint. The front metal parts, very, very mild paint job. Repaint could definitely enhance him, but it does look good as is. Eyes are pretty stern. Definitely reminds you of Bane from the film looking right at you. Overall looks pretty good. Combat vest looks good, but also a little bit soft. Just needs a little bit more paint, or wash or something. It's made of that soft material, you can see, kind of just push it inside there. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, combat boots, I like it. It all looks pretty good. He's got his fists here, but he has a ton of hands, and they're all very relevant and important to Bane. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt, it does look good, but a repaint could really enhance that mask. And here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. He has 6 interchangeable hands. Now let's take a look at his hands. He has 6 of them, 3 right hands, and 3 left hands. Here he is, with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. Here's his next pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands. It'd be nice if at least one of the 2 hands was wide enough to be able to hold Batman by his throat up in the air. And here's his final pair of hands. These are some open hands. They have his index and middle finger sort of sticking out. They would look good when Bane's sort of strutting around, saying, "The city is mine!" You can kind of have Bane grabbing his vest like he did in the film, but it looks a little awkward. An accessory he should have come with, but didn't, would be this broken Batman cowl. I have both the Mattel and the Mafex versions, and I really hope this figure is going to be able to hold these. Another accessory that would be kind of cool, but wouldn't make any sense based off the Dark Knight Rises version, would be Bane's teddy bear Osito. This came with a Mattel figure. It's really Bane's only item from his childhood in Santa Prisca. Would have been kind of nice to have a little Easter egg in the film. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 7.4 inches tall, which can translate to just under 19 centimeters. Now this is a tall, intimidating, massive Bane, and for that I am thankful. He's bigger than Batman. Now in the movie, Tom Hardy was not as big as Christian Bale, but they sure made it seem like he was. Different camera angles making him intimidating. Very happy to have a big Bane to beat up Batman. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up about that far, down about that far. Very good range of motion there. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes up about 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area. Increasing the range of motion at least a little bit and covering that large gap. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows go all the way in. His wrist can rotate. It's going to be hinged as well, but that's not going to happen unless you swap out that peg. His torso, the soft goods overlay, it looks kind of cheap. Very squishy, not a huge fan of kind of how that works. He's got a ball joint in his waist, rotate around, forward and back, and any articulation under here, it's really kind of pointless. You're going to have a really hard time getting any of it to stick. Legs, complete dust of splits, not a ball joint, McFarlane style hip joints. They go forward, really not that much, and back not much either. Rotation's non-existent. Double jointed knees, then his ankle here, forward and back, rotation, tilt, rock, and he has toe articulation. Here's Batman, trapped on a catwalk, about to face Bane. He throws everything he's got at Bane, but it's simply not enough. Bane proceeds to break the Batman. Here's an image of Bane standing over a broken Batman, hands gripping his vest. Bane has defeated Batman, but the Dark Knight shall rise again. Now let's check him out. Next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Bane figures. Here he is, next to the Mafex Dark Knight Rises Bane figure. This is probably the best Dark Knight Rises Bane out there, but he's just so small next to my 7-inch figures. It's about time I have a Bane that can stand up to those guys. That Mafex Bane had swappable arms, so you could display him with either the jacket on or the jacket off. Now this Mafex Bane has a lot more detail in the McFarlane figure, a much better paint job, but devil's advocate, the McFarlane figure costs 1/3 or even 1/4 the price of a Mafex figure. From that point of view, McFarlane made an excellent Bane. And here he is, with both versions of the Mattel Movie Master Bane from Dark Knight Rises. We have the jacket-on version, and then we have the shirtless version. It seemed really odd for them to go with this route, and not the look McFarlane did. If you want to make this sleeveless vest version of Bane with Mattel, you have to buy both the figures, crack the torso open, and swap out the arms. I did just that. So here's a McFarlane sleeveless Bane, next to Mattel makeshift custom version. Even the Mattel one seems to have a better paint job, and that's a sad statement. Here are all three versions of the sleeveless Bane. Mattel, McFarlane, and Mafex. Here are all the different versions of Mattel Dark Knight Rises Bane that I have or made. The only two legitimate releases are the Coat Bane, and then the one to his right, Shirtless Bane. So let me explain all these Bane figures, from left to right. The far left Bane is a Final Fight Bane, where the police were taking on Bane's mercenaries in Gotham. He had his vest on, but he had sort of a black sweatshirt underneath. Then we have the sleeveless Bane for when he broke Batman. Then, of course, the Coat Bane, which is the look he had in the majority of the film. Then the shirtless Bane, which he only had for a couple scenes. Then we have a jacket Bane with no shirt underneath. That was just really made with extra pieces when making that sleeveless Mattel Bane. And on the far right, we have Bane in a leather jacket and a red motorcycle helmet for when he was on the motorcycle, escaping the stock exchange. Here are all of the 6 and 7-inch Bane figures I have from the Dark Knight Rises. Even though this McFarlane version has a little bit of room for improvement with the paint job specifically, he is still my favorite of these Bane figures, as he's not going to be a shrimp in my 7-inch collection. I've been waiting a long time for a formidable Bane in my 7-inch world. I do also have this little-ass Dark Knight Rises Bane figure I don't even know why, but I kept him around on my Bane shelf. Now this is not the first Bane figure McFarlane has made. Hell, it's not even the first collectible build-a-figure that McFarlane has made of Bane. Here he is, next to the Batman Last Night on Earth collectible build-a-figure Bane. This figure is giant, he's massive, but he has his flaws. First of all, the paint job is whack. I don't know why he has gray skin. I have the Last Night on Earth. He did not look like this in the comic. And second of all, this Bane has a lot of problems with legs. They easily pop out of the sockets. It was one of McFarlane's first build-a-figures, and it was a failure. Unfortunately, this Bane has some other problems. Really, it's just that wrist joint being backwards, and then a weak paint job. And here he is, next to McFarlane's mega figure version of Bane. This is based off the Rebirth comics, and this was a very solid Bane release. Here are all three different variations of McFarlane's Bane figure. They're all cool for different reasons. And here he is, next to the Storm Collectibles Injustice Bane. Then, here he is, next to all of my DC Direct and DC Collectibles Bane figures. And here he is, with all of my Mattel Bane figures. Then, next to the Yamato Bane. And here, next to a couple of Kenner Bane figures. Here's my entire collection of Bane action figures. I have a ton. Here's this Bane, next to a custom zombie Trogon bird. These are his henchmen from the comics in Nightfall. I always thought they were a really cool game of henchmen, unique, and surprised they've never appeared since Nightfall, besides one appearance in the 1966 comic. And here he is, next to a custom bird from Arkham Origins. Same character, totally different look. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is with this entire wave, the Dark Knight Trilogy, Batman, Joker, Bane, Two-Face, and Scarecrow. Definitely looking forward to the gold label versions of Bane with the jacket on, Joker in his bank robber outfit, and Batman with his sonar eyes. Now let's check out Bane, next to all the different Build-A-Figures McFarlane has made. They started off by giving us a Build-A-Batmobile, and their plan was to continue doing that. I'm really glad they switched to Build-A-Figure because I enjoy them far more than this Batmobile that's completely out of scale with the line. Then, we have this Dark Knight Rises Bane, next to the Batman Last Night on Earth Bane. Two different Build-A-Figure Banes, completely different. Both really cool, both with some serious flaws. Then, they released Merciless from Dark Knight's Metal. After that, they released King Shark from The Suicide Squad. Then, they released this Target exclusive wave, Batman Beyond Future's End, Batman Joker Robot, and here he is, next to Dark Father from Dark Knight's Metal. And now, next to the Frost King from Justice League Endless Winter. Then, they released Atrocitus from Blackest Night. They also made Collector Build a Horse from Batman The Dark Knight Returns. Really cool and unexpected idea for a Build-A-Figure. And if you got all four of the figures from Batman Arkham City, you could build an undersized Solomon Grundy. And here's the Walmart exclusive gold label version. Then they made the Speed Metal Darkest Night. And the most recent completed mega figure is Star the Conqueror from the Target exclusive Crime Syndicate wave. They're currently doing another Target exclusive Build-A-Figure wave. This one is going to build the Flashpoint Cyborg. And then tomorrow, they're going to drop pre-orders for the Teen Titans wave. Collect-A-Build Beast Boy. Here are all the different Collect-A-Build or Build-A-Figures that McFarlane has made so far. Looking forward to adding Beast Boy and Cyborg to the mix, and really looking forward to finding out what's next after them. Now check them out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to Duke Thomas the Signal, Jay Garrick the Flash, and Con-El Superboy. Then, next to the Kingdom Come Armored Batman, and the Dark Knight's Metal Gladiator Batman. And now, next to the most recent McFarlane Batman wave, we have Nightfall Catwoman, Hush Batman, Infinite Frontier Joker, and both versions of Mr. Freeze. It actually looks like this Dark Knight Rises Bane could give this giant Hush Batman a run for his money. Here's Bane, next to the Walmart exclusive gold label Vampire Batman and Eradicator. Then, with the Target exclusive Deadman and Flashpoint Aquaman. And now, next to the Shazam 2 movie Shazam and the Amazon exclusive Tim Drake Robin. Here's Bane, next to the Amazon exclusive Batman Family 5-pack. And here he is, next to the two most recent mega figures, Frankenstein and Mongol. Then, next to the most recent McFarlane Gaming wave, we have the Arkham City Sick Joker and the Arkham Knight Red Hood and Scarecrow. Then, next to McFarlane's Mortal Kombat 11 DC offerings, the Batman Who Laughs, and both versions of Joker. And now, next to the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, Hutch Superman and Rebirth Kid Flash. Now let's check him out. Next to some Page Punchers. Here he is with a third wave of Page Punchers. This is a Flash-themed wave. We have Flash, the Atom, Heatwave, Gorilla Grodd, and both versions of Captain Cold. And here he is, next to the second wave of Page Punchers. This is based off Injustice 2, Supergirl, Dr. Fate, Batman, and Green Arrow. And finally, here he is, next to the first wave of Page Punchers. This is a Black Adam-themed wave. Batman, Superman, Constantine, and Black Adam. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys. These are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures. Here's Bane, next to a bottle of ketchup. Now, I should have shown him next to a bottle of hot sauce, but I don't have any right now. Hot sauce, because Bane is such a tough guy. And here he is, next to some DST, or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, with some Mayfix figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, here he is, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, it's a very nice Bane figure, but he's not without his flaws. Now, the first thing you want to do before you even assemble this Bane is heat up some water, put his right arm in there, pull out the wrist peg and flip it around, put it back in the right way. That way your Bane will actually function properly. Now, my other issue with him, the paint job, the skin, the vest, the mask especially, it all needs a better paint job. It's a very common thing with the McFarlane toys. All the details are there. You just have to bring them out. Their sculpts are better than an average $20 figure, but the paint jobs are definitely $20 figure paint jobs. Those are 2 pretty important issues with this Bane. Now, things I like about him, he has a bunch of different hands, no traditional accessories, but he is tall. That is very important to me. I have been just waiting and waiting and waiting for some company to give us a Dark Knight Rises Bane that is actually intimidating next to the other action figures. Scale isn't exactly right. Tom Hardy is shorter than Christian Bale, but I would have it no other way than the way they released it. His articulation is everything you'd expect from a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure, although anything under the soft goods overlay is useless. Sculpt, excellent. Paint job, mediocre. Accessories, non-existent, except for his hands, which are nice. If I were to rate this guy, God, I hate to say this, I'm probably going to give him a 6 out of 10. If he had a good paint job, and the wrist thing wasn't an issue, although mine was corrected, thank you again, McFarlane, for that extra Scarecrow figure to fix my broken Bane arm. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. If those things were not an issue, he'd probably easily get an 8.5 out of 10. I would love to see some people that repainted his mask and flesh tone. They did nail it with the eyes, though. It screams menacing Tom Hardy Bane. I really want to give this guy a higher rating, but those are some pretty big issues with this guy. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.